today, part of our newest endeavor of the district and the membership committee, which is our Club Boost Strengthening Workshop. My name's Matt Wise. I'm the Region 4 trustee and a member of the district membership committee. Today we're going to learn the first part about our two-part workshop, and that is our planning for the boost. And part of the planning for the boost is to talk about our membership chair, membership committee, as well as how to prepare for the boost event to boost our club. And even we're going to touch a little bit about inviting members during a pandemic and beyond, because the world is changing, obviously, and we are a little different than what we once were in ways. In many ways, we are the same. So we have a little poll, little interaction to get started. The first poll is basically so that we can understand our audience, who has attended a boost workshop in the past. Just if you've attended a boost workshop that we've had in person, or we've had one virtual workshop already, but if you've attended them in person last year, we went around to every region. Click yes if this is your first one, and you haven't, click no. And our governor-elect Sarah is monitoring the chat and the polls tonight. Okay, you'll see there our poll results right now. We're at 50-50.
Not bad.
Not bad. No, not bad. Good. Well, we're really glad that you chose to take part out of your evening to be with us. In your registration materials, you should have gotten a link to the Boost book. Normally, if we were in person, you would have gotten this in print, in handout. But if you have not, please let us know. Maybe put a little note in the chat or email us and let us know. You'll also see some symbols in the upper right-hand corner that correspond to different page numbers of the Boost book. Now, the other thing that we should say is that part 2 will be coming after the beginning of the new year, and that is going to be the execution. That's going to focus mainly on the execution. Sorry, there we go. I'm unmuted now. And basically, we will then talk about putting that into practice and everything that we take part of here today. But we wanted to break this up for several reasons. One, mainly because virtual sitting down is a lot easier if we can break it up. And two, so that it gives you time to work through it, and we can talk through that as part of our execution of it. So before we really get into the nitty-gritty, we want to talk about why a boost is important. And this is our 3rd year of providing this particular type of workshop. Each time we took the workshop and we updated it to meet the needs of the members and the current environment. And as we talked about this year, our focus is on evaluating the club operation, membership recruitment, and in doing those things in the midst of our pandemic times. We understand that it's challenging right now to invite the new members without our traditional service projects or our meetings and events, but there are things that we can do as Kiwanians and as Kiwanis clubs to keep ourselves relevant and active. Club strengthening as a whole isn't about getting new members. It's really about looking at our club inside and out and evaluating what it is that we need to do differently, what it is that we need to stop doing, and what it is that we need to start doing. What makes our club attractive to the potential members is what we need to do to strengthen our club. Right now, 50% of our clubs in Pennsylvania are below charter strength, which is 15 members, meaning charter strength means that is how many members a club needs to have to officially charter right now with Kiwanis International. You know, another very easy reason and very important reason is that our service leadership programs need us now more than ever. There are many clubs in the Pennsylvania district, some of which are represented here this evening, that represent or sponsor rather more than 4 service leadership programs each. You know, this can become a lot to juggle, and when we have all of these things together, we could really burn out our members. You know, it's important to know that all service clubs are experiencing this. It's not just Kiwanis. You know, we're in this together as a community. But right now, you know, our SLPs need us, and so do our families and children in our communities. And just take a minute, put yourself in the mindset of what your club does in the community, the children and families that you serve annually through your projects. And then ask yourself, what would your community lose if your Kiwanis Club did not exist? And that question is what is driving us to strengthen our club and to boost our clubs to even better proportions. There is no reason why we should think that we're there. Every one of us, individually and clubs, it's important for us to constantly evaluate our relevancy in our community. Before we get into these boost details, let's talk a little bit about numbers. Globally, from a Kiwanis International scale, we had a 2.9% decrease in membership as of October the 1st. Previous years have shown downward trends or even a very small increase. Just for example, 2019-20, obviously we had a 2.9%. Last year we were down 1.29%, and the year prior, the 17-18 year, we had a growth actually that year of 0.8%, so just roughly under 1%. But if you look at those numbers, they're stagnant globally. You know, and again, not just Kiwanis, but there are many service organizations worldwide that are seeing this same stagnancy. In Pennsylvania, here at home, right now we have 155 active clubs on our rolls and 3,042 members, which represents a decrease in 5.25% basically in membership change from last year. But the good news is, which compares okay to years past, right now, as of the beginning of, or as of November of 2020, we're showing a net increase of 24 members, bringing us to 3,066. That number's fluid as members are added and members are deleted, but we're on the upside of that. Over the last 5 years, though, our trend is not as positive. Our 5-year trend is a 14.8, almost 15% loss from the 2014-15 year. And you can see the decrease there from 37.69 in 14-15 to 32.11. You know, our goal with the boost is to start flattening this and getting it to go the other way. Not to make light of that situation, but that trend obviously really can't continue. And when we look at that, I want you to think back to the question we asked just a few minutes ago. What if your Kiwanis Club did not exist? What if your service projects weren't there for the children? What if the families weren't impacted by the food drives and clothing drives that you do? Again, this isn't meant to depress anyone. It's just we need to know that this can't continue, and it's time now that we look at our clubs and see how we can strengthen them in more than just numbers. Strengthening will allow us to increase membership. So boosting is a focus on club strengthening. This looks at the overall picture. It looks at the club operations. We're looking at our leadership. We're looking at service projects. We're looking at community needs and where we're at with that. We are looking at ways in which we can evaluate what it is we do as individual clubs in our communities. To start with, we'll talk about the basics, and the boost is usually coordinated by a membership chair and a membership committee. So the importance of having a membership chair and membership committee is the very first thing we're going to talk about as a boost. We have a poll that we'd like you to participate in if you can. This one is simply, do you, as in your club, have a membership chair and or committee? There are 3 options on your screen. One is obviously yes, we have both. The second option is yes, we have just a membership chair, or the third option is no, we do not have either. So we'll give it just 1 second and see what the results are of this poll. Normally we would do a show of hands, I'm sure, if we were in person. Here we go. So most people have just a membership chair, followed by a membership chair and a committee, and 20% of the participants do not have assigned a membership chair or committee. And that's average. That's about average from what we've seen in the past as well. I would encourage everyone that a membership chair is important, regardless of the current size of your club. You know, everybody else has other responsibilities in the club, and we understand that. But if you identify one person as the membership chair, that means that someone has this as their only focus throughout your year. They set the membership growth and retention goals. They plan that with the rest of the club and the officers. You know, while membership is everyone's job, we want to encourage everyone to invite members. That's something that we all do as Kiwanians. It's important, though, that this stays at the top of someone's to-do list. You know, that's why we do it the same at the district level. Another suggestion would be to include, if you have someone that handles public relations or handles sending items out to the newspapers or the local newspapers, include them in on the committee so that you can help create those relationships. Your membership checklist is going to be in your boost book, and what that does is it shows specific tasks that the chair and committee should be looking to do. You know, these are guides. These are ways that are giving you options to serve and continue serving in a different way. You know, right now for the October to December months, you know, it's a great time to have some type of Kiwanis education at every meeting, for example, or have a holiday event somehow, whether you're meeting in person or you're still meeting virtually. You know, invite everybody to a Zoom happy hour or something, and you know, play games and just talk and, you know, have some things. There's tons of things out there that you can find that can help you with that, and invite potential members to these events. You know, the one thing that I've said in the past, and some of you have probably heard me say that, is when we invite potential members just to a meeting, sometimes we get caught up in the hustle and bustle of our meetings, and we sometimes forget that there's a new face in the crowd, and this person doesn't know what we're talking about, and they hear us talk about SLPs and the Key Club and the Builders Club, and using terminology that they're not necessarily familiar with, and it can be a little off-putting. And so inviting guests to events that are other than just that gets them to establish that rapport and relationship with our members. The next step is to make sure that we get our members buy-in for this, because this really is an entire club. This is the Kiwanis Club activity that we do. We have a focus on this of strengthening the club again as a whole with these actionable plans. It's not just about getting more members. It's about strengthening the club inside and out. I always say this is we're polishing the club up. We are making it shiny. We are making it pretty. We are making it attractive. We are making this to streamline our work that we do in the community and focus ourselves so that we become the go-to organization that people understand, and they want to join us because of what we do in the community. And what this boost will do, and what this particular workshop will do, is it will show you the different tools and resources that we have access to. These are helpful in any way, shape, or form. All of these are out there. All of these, they're not new, but what we've done with the Boost book is make it a one-stop resource for you. It's something that you can easily reference. It's something you can easily apply in ways to benefit the club. And I will say, though, at the very most, it requires commitment from the club. The entire club has to buy into this. Without it, it is not going to be as successful as it can be. And that's why it is important that members buy in. It's critical that they understand the process and why we have it. The benefits of the club too are really priceless. You know, if executed successfully at the end, the boost can bring the club closer together in ways that you may not have ever thought possible before, which is really going to just improve our teamwork. Obviously, it's going to increase the number of people we have actually doing service in the community. It's going to identify ways in which we can serve the community that we didn't think about before. And it's going to provide more support for our existing and possibly provide us some new service leadership programs. By sharing what it is that we do with others, we shed this light on Kiwanis in our community. I've always mentioned in this particular light, we don't know what we don't know. And the same is true for the members of our community. If they don't know about what we're doing, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to want to join us. So in order to do that, we have to talk about the why. We have to talk about, you know, not only the tangible and non-tangible benefits of being a member, but the why. You know, the services that you receive as a member. For example, we get membership materials from Kiwanis International. Kiwanis International sends out the Kiwanis magazine that is just full of great ideas. We get district support. There are member discounts. You know, on and on and on. But there are also the other things that we have opportunities for: networking, access to conferences, whether it be a webinar format, virtual format like we're doing tonight, or in person, hopefully soon or rather than later, mentoring and leadership development. And just as we all know that are on this call, everybody here has made at least one lifelong friend because of joining Kiwanis, at least one, if not more. And the impact of our service, both individually and as a club on our community, just allows us to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And you know, if we can talk about those things, and if we get ourselves in that mindset as a Kiwanis club, we are on the right track to do our boost. The next phase in the preparation stage, we're going to spend some time talking about our community analysis. We're going to talk about the roster analysis, which oftentimes is overlooked. I know I'm probably guilty of it too. We'll talk about club operations and just ways in which, you know, I referenced it earlier about when we bring in a potential member to our club, and how we continue conducting our business in the midst of folks that may be a little bit out of their element. But then also the member education as well. One thing that you'll see is that Kiwanis.org can be a tremendous, tremendous resource. And these are just a few examples. The club training is available for the entire club. All of the tools and resources that we reference are there under club strengthening. And one example is the Achieving Club Excellence tool. You know, these resources are already created. They've gone through, you know, the gambit to make sure that we don't have to reinvent the wheel as a Kiwanis club. This training is available for all members, not just leaders. You know, even if you're not an officer, any of the training is available to you. It's categorized differently, but it is all available. These are the ones at the bottom. You'll see these are part of what is called the Achieving Club Excellence tool, and you can look at those tools and figure out what would be effective based on the club needs, and it walks you through that. And for any one of these, they can be administered either within your club, or you can work with your lieutenant governor, your trustee, or your regional membership coordinator. Anybody from our membership committee. We have Tiffany Kaleo on here from Wyoming area. She's our district membership chair. Any one of those individuals can help walk you through them. The first thing that we should look at doing as a club is a club analysis. This is where we look inward. We look at ourselves and we figure out how our club is perceived by our members and by our community. These will help us to identify if there's any negative aspects or improvements that need to be made. You know, now's the time, before we move into the part 2 that we'll be having after the first of the year. Now's the time to evaluate things and resolve them, figure out how it is that we're going to put these into implementation before we really start going into the execution phase of the boost. One way that we can do club analysis is through member surveys. The member survey is pre-designed and it has questions relating to current meeting date, time, and location, to even talking about traditions. You know, are our traditions that we're doing as a club, are they a barrier for new members? Are they a barrier or uncomfortable for existing members? You know, some people join for different reasons. Some people join more for service. Some people join because they have an uncanny knack for fundraising. So what's our balance there, and how's that working? You know, what's our service program look like? Do we do too much? Do we do too little? Is it relevant? You know, just because we have done a particular service project for 30 years doesn't mean we have to do it for 31. I'm not saying that means we have to stop it. What I am saying is that we need to make sure that we establish the relevancy of that. And if it is still relevant, that's awesome. Let's keep going with it. Let's make it a 50-year project as long as it's still relevant in the community. But what this also does is it allows us as a club to define what service means to us. Obviously, this is going to differ. This might differ from club to club. This might differ from generation to generation. You know, a lot of different demographics can go into this. You may find out that some people think that serving, you know, the definition of service is different for everyone. Some people might say serving is giving money to a local organization in need. Is it? Sure. Some may say service is providing hands-on volunteer hours for a project that another community or another organization is hosting. Sure. Some may say service is to do what it is that you need to do to keep the club operating. You know, there's no right or wrong answer as what service is. The idea behind this is for the club to get behind a single purpose. And I'm not saying single purpose as in, you know, the club only does one type of service project, but that everybody is on the same page. And if you have this relevant, balanced service program, the community then benefits, and so do the members. We talked a little about member surveys, so I'll go into that a little more in detail. And we have samples of that in the Boost book as well. But the idea behind this is to make sure that it determines the members' perceived value of being a Kiwanian. And when we ask, I mean, when you're asked for your opinion, you feel a certain way about that. And by gaining member feedback, we're finding out what it is that we don't know about our club. The best way to do this is to make it anonymous, whether it be a handout or whether it be online. Many clubs that we've worked with that do these are online. They use some type of either Google form or SurveyMonkey. You could also have it administered, you know, take that anonymity one step further and have it administered by a third party. Have your lieutenant governor or trustee or membership person come in and administer that, so that they're actually receiving the responses and they see that part of it, and then can compile that for the club to have a conversation about it. You also need to have a conversation from the standpoint of what it is that our community needs. Especially now more than ever, you know, this was a conversation that we had built into this program prior to COVID, but during the pandemic, I think we've all seen that the needs of our community can change very quickly. What we did last year may no longer be relevant or needed, or it may just simply be impossible for us to do it in the identical way in which we did before. You know, for example, who would have thought that a year ago schools would be looking for additional PPE and masks are needed for teachers and students? You know, there are ways in which Kiwanis can identify these needs in the community. All things have changed. It doesn't necessarily negate what we've done in the past or our existing initiatives. What it does is it adds to our data. It adds to our knowledge about our community. So how do you start a community analysis? I mean, it sounds big, it sounds complicated, it sounds involved. Well, in a way it is, but Kiwanis International has this tool, the Achieving Club Excellence tool. You know, it's available as a fillable PDF, or you can print it out, but it walks you through step by step by step. The first step, create a contact list. So we'll put on maybe the superintendent of schools, the mayor, the fire chief, the EMS folks, the director of pupil services at the middle school, or, you know, just those are some examples. And then step two, identify a Kiwanis team. So usually that's the membership committee. We talked about some clubs don't have one, recommend that you do, but get a team together that can then do step three, which is to schedule and conduct interviews with those folks and ask a series of pointed questions. It allows you then, you'd be amazed at what you learn. When you ask that series of pointed questions, that's again another data set. So we've put together the data set of our membership. Now we're putting together our data set that we're getting from our community, and then we can put that all together and figure out how we can be the shiniest, the most polished, the go-to service organization in our community. With that, we can look at building a club's strategic plan. And a lot of people think strategic plan and they just shut down. They just think, you know, this is just something we can't handle. We only have 7 members. We don't need a strategic plan. We just need to do service. I totally understand that. I get where you're coming from, and I don't think anybody would disagree with you. But when we talk strategic plan, we really talk strategy more than anything else, and where we can take the opportunity to evaluate our club completely, 100% from the inside out, from the outside in, and, you know, brand our club in the community, make sure that potential community partners and members know what it is that our club does in the community. It's going to help us set goals, have a sense of purpose. And when you have something that you can go back to, it's going to help guide your club's decisions. You know, and by doing this, you can develop these action steps that really put all of these things into focus. And we do have a worksheet available for that. It's again part of the Boost book where everything is there. And here's a sample. It's a sample of what the form may look like. And what I would recommend is that you engage the help of your lieutenant governor, your membership committee person, or your trustee to make sure that that this is filled out, and they can help you with that. You know, it's self-directed worksheet that basically gives us the opportunity here. Oops, sorry. To look at our strengths. You know, what are our strengths in our club? What are our weaknesses? This is a way to analyze the data that we've just collected. What are some opportunities in our community or in our club as well? You know, and then what are some threats to our positive existence? Obviously, the first one here on this particular sample is board members burnout. I think we all can relate to that. And then we talk about setting some goals and developing an action plan based on the goals. It looks like a lot, but I can tell you that once this type of document is put together and you can come back to this, it really gives the club something tangible that they can start working on and celebrate at each time one of these goals is achieved. At the beginning, I said we'd talk a little bit about the roster analysis. You know, it's important that we highlight ways in which we look, again, internally. You know, diversity is important because it gives us multiple perspectives. You know, it's been in the past that the different Kiwanians have traditionally held certain types of business positions, but the roster analysis sheet can be a creative way for you to think outside the box or think in new boxes. You know, we obviously want to make sure that our club is reflective of the communities that we live in which we serve and represent. Different perspectives on this can bring in all of these different new ideas, new energy even. You know, perspective is important, and what that does is that creates this sense of positive energy that allows us to do that. So if you want, put something in the chat box for other people to see, you know, as an answer to this question. Why do you think that when we open new clubs or invite new members, that these are some of the people we invite into Kiwanis? You know, why do we tend to go to the schools first? Why do we tend to go to the community leaders first? You know, in the past, it was more of networking. Again, as the definition of service is changing, we're also seeing the makeup of our clubs is changing a little bit too. You know, obviously not everybody can get to a meeting. but they want to be part of Kiwanis somehow. That should allow us then to look at some non-traditional places to recruit from, and utilize our own network as individuals. Again, right now, especially, we do understand there are a lot of people who may be unemployed or temporary furloughed because of COVID, and some people are looking to fill their time with something, and giving back to the community is one of those ways. Kiwanis International and the Pennsylvania District have recognized that, and there is a new member fee waiver, meaning that the club does not get charged a new member fee from Kiwanis International or the district, as long as that new member is joined and entered into the system by December 31st of this year. That's huge for some people. And then they get in it, and maybe their situation will be different by next August and September when it comes time to renew their dues. Those are that's just another tool in the toolbox to be able to increase our roster. Think about ways in which you can support their local businesses that have supported you in the past, and maybe that's a way. But check this roster analysis out, use it as a guide, have some fun with it, and use that as a way to find your next new member. The other thing we need to do is make sure that our team is well educated. It's part of the planning of the boost. The important part is so that when we're out there, if Mike and I are out there, and Sarah and Tiffany are out there, and we're each meeting with different sets of people, we're sharing the same information. We're being consistent. When we're speaking to new potential members, we want to make sure that we're unified. We want to make sure we're organized and basically all on the same page. So some things that you need to make sure that the team understands when they go out. Club facts. When was it chartered? What are some of your service projects? What are the main things that you do in the community? What's your dues structure look like? Use the service leadership alumni discount as a way to have a conversation. And we'll get into the execution of it later on, but that's where you can talk to the service leadership program alumni and say that you've got a discount for 2 years for this. Take this chance to identify what your club is known for and sell it. And that's really what that particular conversation needs to be about. Kiwanis International has the Just the Facts brochure that talks about Kiwanis on the global level. It's still a very good one to use because it talks about ways in which we reach throughout the world. And a lot of business leaders understand that corporate membership will allow them to hold the membership and have a representative from their business participate on behalf of the organization. A lot of places where this is beneficial has seemed to be with banks or other financial institutions, but it doesn't have to be just banks. It can be any company. And again, we talked about the new member waiver, but that's obviously another recruitment tool. Sometimes we hear that dues can be an issue for members who are looking to join Kiwanis. Obviously, when we're looking at a new member, if this is before December, their new member fee is waived. But it's estimated right now that every Kiwanis member impacts the lives of about 206 children. So just think about losing one member and the impact that can have. So for Kiwanians that are existing that may not be able to financially afford the dues, we have developed a Pennsylvania district initiative last year called the Dollars for Dues. The individual can apply or the club can apply for the applicant, and basically this is a way in which that we can decrease the dues burden. Page 33 has the the details about this. But you can take a look at this, pakiwanis.org/dollars-4-dues. You can also, if you're interested in supporting our retention initiatives, you can do that as well. But also look at ways in which you can reduce the membership burden for members outside of the Dollars for Dues program. There are a lot of administrative things that our executive director, Kevin Thomas, includes in his reminders that he sends out every year. One of which is that you can take the liability insurance, which is $17, out of the service account. So you could look at it that way too. You know, basically every club is looking at their budgets and knowing that it's going to be impacted somehow. So the best way to do this is to see how it is that we can reduce that burden but still remain solvent. In addition, Kiwanis International has approved that expenses for conferences that are educational in nature can be covered partially from the service account. You know, so if you have questions about that, let us know and we can get you some clarity on that. So while we were talking about finances, we felt that it was important that we shared this newer initiative that we have at the Pennsylvania District. So here's a topic that has been in a lot of our calls that we've had in our meetings, and that's recruiting in rural areas. So we understand that there are challenges that impact our rural areas. It's not in the Boost book, but we wanted to call attention to this. We know that geography can be a challenge. And lack of businesses. Obviously, they may not have a downtown. The downtown might be spread out over the course of several miles. They have less people, so less people to ask to join. The school district could cover an entire county or multiple Kiwanis communities. So obviously, we don't have the usual process, but that doesn't mean that we can't take this boost and apply it to rural versus urban areas. I mean, we've got all of that in Pennsylvania, and we've done all of that. And some of the opportunities that we have are the same. You know, if you look at that, you find out what the community needs, and as you're doing that, you can get ideas for new service projects. And if you get enough people that are interested in some of these community needs, you definitely can find a way to pitch that, you know, come join us, come help us meet these needs. There are some that you've heard of in just their name. They're the Kiwanis Club of the XYZ area, you know, so it doesn't have to be just that. So consider that potential when you are looking at areas in which you're recruiting. You know, there are some other opportunities that we can look at too, as far as satellites, which operate independently but under the umbrella of an existing club, as well as single service options. So there are a lot of different ways that we can look at that and talk about that. You know, single service club, for example, the most common we've heard of is a literacy club. You know, they focus solely on reading and literacy to children, for example. So again, that gets back to the definition of service, and what is the definition that we have. What is the definition that our community has?
Compared to Boost with inviting new members. So first on, we want to look at the average age. We found these numbers to look at. So right now, the average age of a Kiwanian is 60. The new Kiwanian age is 48. A male Kiwanian is 62, the average age. A average age of a female is 58. And in just North America, the average age was 61. So let's think about those numbers. Okay. So it says, before we invite members, we need to understand our Kiwanis geographic and our clubs that will help us determine our approach. These sections, we will have a few breakout sessions so we can practice. There are stats from the Kiwanis International that we just talked about. So why is this important? It's important because we are inviting potential new members into Kiwanis. We need to understand how we can recruit for a different age group. There are definitely different tactics for a 70-year-old that does not work for a 25-year-old and vice versa. But based on these recent demographic numbers, you can see it may be hard to capture those monomiums, but I will say it's not impossible. So our mission has not changed, but our membership has, so we needed to adjust our approach. There are more demands on families now and different reasons for joining them than in the past. Okay, so right now we're going to be doing a breakout session. So the first scenario that we're going to have is the median age club, so the average age club is 70. How do we attract and invite a 30-year-old into your club? So that's going to be in room 1. In room 2, the median club age is 30, and how do you invite someone that's 50 or older into your club? So right now, Sarah's going to go and put everyone into the 2 different groups, and we were going to give you about 4 minutes to try to talk about what you guys can do into the scenarios that we're giving you. All right, so with the age factor, so I was in group 1, so we talked about the median club age being 70, and how do we attract and invite anyone that are 30 years old about into your club. So what we talked about a few different things. The one thing is working with your SLP members, whether it's the Key Club, the Circle K, anyone, and then making sure to include them back when they're ready to join. Talk to them, make them feel welcomed. Chuck brought up the point that making them feel like they're part of the club by like listening to their ideas and making them feel like they're contributing to the club as well with what they want to do. Bonnie talked about maybe talking to kids of the ones that are 70 years old and having them come into it and seeing what their needs are as being younger people in the community and what they're looking for to be able to come into the club and to see like what the club can do to help them with that. So Sarah, do you want to talk about your group?
So room 2, we had our scenario. The medium club age is 30. How do you invite someone 50 plus into your club? We talked about different styles of communication between an older and a younger member. Also, an older member really values that fellowship, the social aspect, and that's one of the reasons why they join maybe a service organization at age 60 or plus, having that social contact and building those relationships with Kiwanians. Also, we know that younger members want to do service, hands-on service, and that might be a challenge or a deterrent for some of the older members, especially. Brian brought up like a highway cleanup. That may be a challenge for someone who's in their 70s, depending on their physicality. So maybe looking at projects that are a hybrid that aren't as physically exhausting or something like that. Having something that a service project that everyone can do is key as well. So those are some of the things that was discussed.
Okay.
Anyone
Awesome.
else have anything to add in any scenario? Feel free to unmute yourself if anyone would like to. Get here.
Okay. All right, the 1 minute elevator speech, as we usually call it. So your 1 minute elevator speech is what you want to answer the question when they say, what is Kiwanis? When you walk in, if you're wearing a sweatshirt, I know I always wear stuff. I'm sure Sarah always wears stuff. I'm sure a lot of you guys might wear, might wear, your Kiwanis gear, as we call it. And they might say to you, what is Kiwanis? So this is what you guys need to, really think about and really, promote your club. You think about going out to the community and you want to, be proud of your club. You want to make sure that everyone knows the things that you're doing. You want to put yourself out there. So you should, why your club? Why would you want someone to join your club? Maybe pick a service that makes you the proudest of your club, and that's what makes the community impact. You don't need to list everything that your club does. Just pick one. And how would you make that impact? So into practice. Sarah, are we going to do the elevator speak right now?
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So right now we are going to just put you guys into different groups and have you guys practice that 1-minute elevator speech. Okay. So Sarah's going to do that. When you do your elevator speech, I think the most important key is just, talking up about your projects that you do, because those are the projects that are in the community. Those are the things that you guys are going to be known for. So I think that if you, really discuss and go over the projects that you guys, do, that's what's going to draw in those people into wanting to join the club, because they're seeing the benefits out of what your projects are doing with the kids in the community. So awesome job, guys. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what you might hear when you do ask for people to go and join the club. So a lot of times you might hear, I don't have time to serve. The big thing is, how much does it cost? A lot of people think, well, if I'm volunteering my time, why am I paying for this? What does Kiwanis expect from me? Why join? Volunteering is free. I'm busy. That's a huge thing, is I'm busy. Our company manages move around a lot. How much of the monies raised from the club actually go to community service? I'm already involved in other organizations. So just those are probably the most ones that you've have probably heard in the past when you do ask friends or family or anyone out there. Those are the key rejections, I guess you want to say, or just questions. So remember, rejection is not the end, it's just a step on the path. So I don't have time to serve. It says, you might respond with, well, you might be successful business people have time to invest wisely. As I've gotten older, I've become more inclined to fill my time with things I want to do, and I'm sure you are the same. Tonight, my quest is simple. Come and see if Kiwanis is something you want to fill your time. And so, those are just things that, we've seen in the past, I'm sure. Also, the biggest thing is about, why am I having to pay? When we talk about, when you do pay for the dues organization, you're getting things out of that. You're getting all of the workshops that we're providing, all the material that we're providing, the insurance that your club can have to be able to do some of these projects. So it's definitely worth the money that you are spending to go into to help your community out even more. All right, so now, because obviously with everything that's going on, we need to talk about the virtual resources and online technology, recruiting, and different ideas to help your club thrive. So we're going to do a poll right now and ask if your club is meeting online, whether it's by Zoom or by free conference call. So right now we're going to be doing a poll to see what you guys are doing. Ooh. So everybody is meeting online at least once a month. So that's awesome. That should be definitely key. As we can tell from everything that's been going on, there's definitely different ways of meeting online, or we didn't have to stop meeting during this time. There was definitely ways of trying to figure that out, but that was huge, because there's definitely a lot of clubs out there that have not met and have just, said, oh, we're just going to wait until after the pandemic. Well, we can't be doing that. We need to, still meet. We need to still do service out there. Then there's definitely different ways of doing things, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing, technology does not have to be scary. So obviously there's definitely different ways and different platforms with the technology. For one thing, we're on Zoom. I mean, I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings that I've had, and I know Sarah has had, and I'm sure a bunch of you have had, and the last like 2 months with the new administrative year. So, I mean, definitely I'm zoomed out right now, but it's all good. But there's all the other different technologies that, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google. So there's definitely a lot of different technology. We know it can be overwhelming and we understand that, but it's not scary. Okay. And then it's definitely has been another way of keeping connected with friends and family and Kiwanians during the pandemic. I know, like, when it first came out back in the spring, I mean, how many of us just did happy hours just because we were like, oh, let's just, it was something new. It was like something, fun to do. And we were able to see our friends and family from across the state that we normally would see maybe at mid-year, and we weren't able to have the mid-year conference. So we just set up a Zoom meeting, and we were still able, to talk with them and to connect with them and have a good time on top of it. Okay. So video conferencing, there's definitely different ways of doing it, whether your clubs are meeting online or hybrid. So some of the tools that are out there is the freeconferencecall.com. Zoom does have a basic free service for the 40 minutes. I know in the springtime it was nice that they got rid of that, but I believe the next package is only like $14 a month, I think it is. So if your club is looking into that, then there's the GoToMeeting license is required. Google Meet, I know this is something that we use with school. So you could go in with a free account. I know if you have Facebook, they do the Facebook chats as well with that. So there's definitely has gained popularity during this pandemic year with meetings, conferences. It's just a different way to connect with having the transition to online platforms, obviously for our health and our safety and the wellness of the individuals. So if there's any questions with any of the tools out there, just please let us know. If you guys maybe are if you know of a club that is struggling in your area with needing to go online, let us know. We can always go in and help them with trying to figure out what they need to do to make sure that they are meeting. Okay. So again, there are definitely different ways of meeting during this time. Please use, I'm hoping, well, since we also we're meeting, so that's a great thing with this. All right, the different resources that are out there. So KI has a complete list of resources that are for virtual. So if you would go into the KI website and at the top where it says members resources, you would see the virtual club resources on there. So there is the link though if you need to. So it has a new resource on their website to help their clubs virtually at this time. And it says on this site will provide members with the latest information on how the coronavirus is impacting the operations of Kiwanis International and the Kiwanis family clubs, the resources and ideas to help your clubs thrive during this time, educational Zoom sessions already available on demand, and there's even KI Zoom backgrounds, and Sarah has it right now, that you can use during the Zoom calls. Okay, so these are all great resources to help your clubs be able to get through this time and to still operate. Okay, so they're definitely use these resources, because they're out there and obviously they're for free, and KI has done a great job of putting everything together for us. So the clubs are continuing to serve during this time. So if you see that they have on here the different things that are going on, different activities, maybe you could come up with, if you need to come up with more ideas. They have the like a newsletter online that shows you the different clubs and what they're doing during this time. So check it out with that. So recruiting, I mean, that's I think a biggest thing right now that probably a lot of you are asking, like what to do. And it says people join because of people. We could attract new members virtually. Obviously, you could come up with maybe a speaker series in your club, with growing club with content. You could invite former members or current members you have not seen in a while. There are new service opportunities that are there. You can maybe, go out and support those, especially now with Pennsylvania, shutting down indoor dining. Support those local restaurants and the frontline workers. There's different drive-through collections or holiday events that are going on, and definitely service projects that involve families, because obviously it's, a rough time right now, especially with everything that's going on, and things are definitely shutting down. So there's definitely different things that your club can do to help out in the community with like we said, with the restaurants, with families. anything that you guys could come up with, I'm sure will be awesome. So there's definitely ways that your club can help out. So ideas to help your club thrive. So obviously we talked about if you need to get speakers to come in our clubs. I know the Phillipsburg Club is going into their 800th in a row inner club. They do one once a month. So that's something that they really, focus on, and they're really proud of that. So doing inner clubs with different clubs. You could do a virtual service project. You can invite maybe the service leadership program members into the Zoom meeting just to see if they're doing stuff. Maybe some of them are meeting online as well and they need some ideas to come up with. So definitely invite them and to share ideas with them and to see if there's anything that you guys could work together on. Utilize your time to plan ahead with things, and obviously keep Kiwanis Fellowship fun and have fun and be creative. Change up your virtual meetings, maybe do something fun on there that, just not having a meeting. You want to, talk about other things. Bring in some maybe community leaders and school personnel to see, what the schools need. If you guys, focus a lot of your stuff with the schools that you are providing service to, maybe have them come on to the meeting and to see what their ideas are, if they need anything, or if they have, maybe if they know families that are struggling right now and they need your help. Okay. Learn what's happening around the division or the district by, inviting that district governor or governor-elect, your lieutenant governor or trustee, the district secretary, maybe an SLP, a district administrator, just to see, what's going on at that end. Reach out to mental health experts and get advice on how to help the youth in your programs. Maybe invite an exercise or physical therapist to teach simple stretching, yoga, or relaxation techniques. Maybe collect virtual happy dollars in the form of the IOU to be collected later on. I know a lot of clubs depend on those virtual happy dollars or 50-50 to help your administrator fund. So, those are definitely things you could still do. Like I said before, inner club, you could now, especially with doing Zoom, there's definitely different ways of doing inner club between the whole entire district that's going on. Look to ask other district leaders to, for ideas with doing inner clubs. Do or plan, like I said, a virtual service project together. Maybe involve the family unit in service is also a great way to get everyone involved. So for example, maybe mask making or card making. And maybe a virtual graduation party for youth members who don't get to participate in a school ceremony. With utilizing this time to plan ahead, it says kids need Kiwanis, and we know they need us more than ever when the crisis ends. So what can your club do to attract new members, help more kids, make a powerful impact statement in your community? Make sure regular club businesses through September is scheduled and rethink how to proceed virtually. This includes elections, correspondence, newsletter submissions, etc. Determine whether funds in your service account can be allocated to a project that benefits those affected by the COVID-19 crisis, or to celebrate the unsung heroes in your community working through this pandemic. I'm sure I know in the springtime, a lot of different food banks were going on. So that was maybe something that your club can go and help out with either volunteering the time or to maybe give a donation if you guys have the funds in there. So that's something that you could definitely look into. Keep Kiwanis Fellowship and service alive. Again, have fun, be creative, think outside the box. You could come up with maybe different trivia games, scavenger hunts in your home, host a virtual happy hour, host spirit days. So maybe have a theme meeting. I think the other day, I think Sarah said something about doing like a crazy sweater day with Christmas coming up, so, talk about that. If you guys are into sports, maybe a college themed sports day. So there's a lot of different things that you guys could do to keep your club, keep going, keep being creative, keep doing things. So, all right. So where we are now and how do we get there and where do we want to be? So this is where you guys need to start thinking about your club, where you guys are at, where do you want to go, and where do you want to go after that, where do you want to be when you start to plan for the boost. So right now we have to think about what can you commit to today to help you grow. So if you guys have done a boost before, you guys know that this was normally on the back of the boost with the heart. So it says, what can you do to commit to your, ready to commit to club growth set goals and an action plan, boost your club and community. So you want to talk about and think about this. You should try to at least print this page and write in the heart on what you're going to commit to and hang it by your computer maybe to remind you of your commitment to your club and to pass it on to club members. So this is definitely something to think about, and maybe start to plan your goals into the heart. You know, if you write things down, you might succeed at doing them a little bit more than just saying it. So what's next? We need to start looking at the planning process. So after this, the second step is probably going to be sometime in January-ish, depending on how much we need to look into to fix the boost to make it virtual. So we need to look into the club analysis, the community analysis, the team education, and adding tips for better recruitment and meetings virtually. So again, this is the things that we just talked about all today. So this is the planning process of what you guys are going to be going into. And then part 2 of this workshop, we'll look for, again, into actually performing what you guys need to do to complete the boost. What we're going to do is on this, all this stuff is going to be on the PA Kiwanis site. So if you need any questions with anything, you could definitely look up that. Okay. So questions, concerns, or comments. So right now you guys could either unmute yourself, or if you want to put something in the chat, anything that you guys want to talk about, any suggestions, anything that you guys want to discuss, now's the time.
I asked in the chat what resonated with everyone today from what was discussed. A few people are saying lots of the resources online. The 1-minute speech is important. People don't think about that when you're wearing Kiwanis gear. And I mentioned that in my breakout room, you're in the grocery store and someone says, what is Kiwanis? And like, you have like less than a minute to just say who we are, what you guys do. And like Tiffany said, like really what is important, and just talking about those local projects. But you don't need to rattle off the entire mission statement or everything you guys do. Just one thing that's really important just to get them hooked in. So I think absolutely, Brian, I think that's why we include it here in the boost. We think that's a huge thing that we all need to practice. So that's good. The member surveys, yes, absolutely. That's very key. I know we have a big chat, but I did send a link, and I can also send that out via email along with a link to these slides, are a sample of a membership survey that we did on surveymonkey.com that I know I have done for clubs. So like Tiffany said, you want to have that third party do it so people feel comfortable, and those are ways that so those are some of the questions that we ask. And I think it's important, like Bonnie said, is to figure out what people really want in the club. You might be doing something that no one wants to get behind, but we continue to do it, every month or every year. So I think that's really important. And like you said, have more fun. So it's huge. Great. Other comments, questions?
Well, I'd actually like to take a second here just to thank Tiffany and Sarah for putting on a great presentation.
Thank you, Cal.
Give them a round of applause.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Cal.
Hey, Tiffany.
Yes, Eugene.
Any great advice just to be on alert? Well, that's back when we're be able to go back to our normal seat. Is there any great advice for the Elver speech?
To do the well, so you want when we get back to being normal, hopefully sooner or later.
I just want to do some practice runs while I might not be using for now, since we're not able to go outside until.
I just think that, especially if your club is still performing service during this time, just definitely, emphasize that our club didn't give up on the community during this time. We were still active, we were still giving, we were still doing things for the community, even though there was a pandemic going on. So that's how much our club cares about the community. So if you put it that way, and then those definitely understand that you guys are the real deal, and you're just not just looking for members. You just want to continue with the service and maybe make it better and bigger than you had before. I think one thing that our club was really looking forward to, obviously, every year is our breakfast with Santa, and we were extremely upset we couldn't do it because we've done it for 26 years. So just putting it out there and saying let's make it as big as we can for next year, and see where we can go after that. So
Occasionally, when I showcase that we're still serving, even though I'm doing everything's done online, I share some word strides. I got a lot of feedbacks, and some people were messaging me about we're still doing a great job and so forth. And just want to be aware in case if I encounter those comments, will ask me about Kiwanis even on virtual online, since everything's going on right now.
Yeah. So, but anything else, just please let us know. Right now, here is the membership team. So we have Sarah's email, Mayan, and Matt Weiss is Region 4 trustee, but he's also the vice membership chair. And each region also has a membership chair too. So if you have any questions, you could either reach out to them or reach out to us with anything. So this was awesome. Thank you guys all for coming today. Hopefully you all took something back with you, and you could start to work on your clubs and wanting to get ready for the next part. Again, we said it will be later on in the winter time.
We'll send out a survey for the session after this.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. It was a great session.
Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Yes.